Alrighty, now we are live, kind of. All right, next question. Raise your hand if you like stories about aliens. Raise your hand really high. Hopefully everyone's waving it, because if you're not, then I'd be kind of sad. Oh yeah, everyone. Woo! Okay, put your hands down. Next one. Raise your hand if you like ramen noodles. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's the best. Huh. All right, put your hands down. Let's see. Raise your hand. Now it's getting a little bit more difficult. Raise your hand if you know what UFO stands for. Oh, you guys know? Can you tell me all at the same time? What does UFO stand for?
Unidentified flying objects.
You guys are so smart. That's right. Now, does anyone know what UAP stands for? Ooh, I see a few. Okay, let's see if you can say it out loud. What do you think UAP stands for? Tell me. I'm listening.
Unidentified. They said aerial. It's close. It used to be, right?
Used to be. Yeah. But that, you know what? That's pretty good. I'm still pretty impressed, because even adults don't know what it stands for. So you guys are a lot smarter than a lot of the adults that I know. All right, next one. Raise your hand if you think aliens brush their teeth. What do you think? Do you think they do? Really high? Kind of, sort of? Or like, yes, 100% they have teeth, and their breath probably smells bad, huh? Like hours in the morning. No, a little bit. I see a few. Okay, I got a few more for you before we get into some other stuff. Let's see. Raise your hand if you've ever watched a movie or TV show about aliens. Oh, I see Talia doing too at the airport. Nice, everyone. Yes. Okay. Now I gotta ask. I know there's a lot of you, but let's say it all at the same time. What's your favorite movie or TV show about aliens? Let's hear it.
Independence Day.
Have any of you guys seen the cartoon called Invader Zim? Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I see a few thumbs down. Oh, sad. It's really good. You should watch it. And it's for kids. I think you like it. Okay. Who here knows what my name is? Does anyone know? Can you guys say it out loud? What's my name? Wow. You guys know your stuff. That is right. That is my name. And do you know what kind of research I do? Does anyone know? All right, let's hear it out loud. What is it? That's right. Now, do you guys like talking about UFOs at school? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. Who here talks about UFOs at home? Raise your hand. Ooh, a lot of you. Wow. Okay. Have your parents ever told you their story about their UFO sighting? Raise your hand. Ooh, a few of you. I love that. That is so cool. Okay, next question. Have any of you had a UFO sighting with your parents? Raise your hand. Ooh, a few, and a kind of, sort of. Ooh, I might have to ask you those questions a little bit later then. I want to hear the stories of your UFO sightings. Okay, all right. I got one more for you. And actually, for this one, I need you guys to stand up. Can you do that for me? If you guys can all fit. All right, nice. I can see a few of you, but that's okay, as long as you guys can see each other. All right. Who would challenge an alien to a dance-off? Raise your hand. Some of you. All right. For those that raised your hand, what's your signature dance move to win the dance-off? Let's see it. Go ahead and do the dance move. Dun 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 dun. All right, guys, sit back down for me. I think we got some of those wiggles out, huh? Hope you guys just back from lunch, right? So you already had recess and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you shouldn't have too many wiggles, but maybe you just took a few out. All right.
Ms. Gomez, they are eager to have good seats. So every 7 minutes, we're going to rotate. So we'll just do that. Like the people in the front row are going to go to the back. So
Brilliant.
Be fair, and I understand that. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. Just let me know when those 7 minutes happen, so I can act accordingly. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Now we played a few of our games. I got to know a little bit about you guys and your UFO sightings and sharing with your family and your super cool dance moves. Now we're going to talk a little bit about UFOs, just a little bit, and then I'm going to answer your questions. So while we're talking about it, I'm going to share some pictures and think about one question that you really want answered about UFOs. And if you don't have one, that's totally okay. You don't have to ask any questions. But the last 20 minutes or so, you and me are going to have one on ones. I'm going to answer your questions to the best of my ability. Does that sound okay? Raise your hand if you think so.
And
All right.
the kids that did have to go to groups, they can stay if you can stay. So no pressure on your part, but they can stay later. I got that approved.
Ah, even better. I love that kind of news. Okay. So I know, actually, back it up. Hold on. Do you guys know your US presidents? Raise your hand. Have you guys learned it in school this year or last year? Raise your hand. Okay. Did you know? This is really cool. Did you know that a lot of US presidents have had UFO sightings? What? You guys knew that? That's even cooler. A lot of people don't know, and a lot of adults don't even know. Can you believe that? You guys are so much smarter than so many adults because there have been a lot of presidents over the last few years, like the last like few decades, really, that have had UFO sightings. Now, before we even talk about it, I have pictures to share with you. Who knows what the word allegedly means? Raise your hand. It's kind of a toughie, but you guys know it, and I'm just gonna tell you what it means, okay? It's used to convey something that is claimed of something that's happened, something that's taken place, although there's no proof of it. So let's say you had a UFO sighting, right? But you don't have any pictures. You didn't collect any debris of the alien craft, right? You would say, I allegedly had a UFO sighting. It took place, but I don't have any proof of it. And a lot of the times when we talk about UFO sightings and stories, the word allegedly is thrown a lot. So it's really important to know what it means. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to talk a little bit about some US presidents that have had UFO sightings or that have shown an interest in UFOs. As I share my screen here, does anyone know who President Harry Truman is by chance? Does anyone know? Kind of, sort of. Yeah, I mean, he's from the 1940s, 1950s. I mean, it was a long, long time ago. Not even your grandparents were alive. Maybe they were, but it was a long time ago. So, this guy right here, he was a president from 1945 to 1953. Now, this was a really important time in really UFO history because Project Blue Book was created during this time frame, and there were international UFO sightings taking place between the 50s, 60s, and 70s. There was this huge boom of UFO sightings. Now, Truman, right here, he was kind of the president to be president during the Roswell UFO case. Who here knows about Roswell? Raise your hand. It is the most famous UFO sighting of all time. Do you guys know why? Do you guys know why it's the most famous? Ooh, okay. Hold 1 second. Sorry about that. So unprofessional. Okay. It was the most famous because you had a UFO crash, debris collected, and allegedly, see the word that we used and learned today, there were alien bodies. Now, this was the first time that it really hit the media about UFOs in the US. And Truman is freaking out. He's like, how do I handle this? How do I tell the American people that there's aliens? He didn't do that at all, actually. Instead, he created Project Blue Book. Who knows about Project Blue Book? Anyone know? Ooh, I got some smart hands going up. That's right. Project Blue Book was this program that would research and investigate UFO sightings and then debunk them, meaning that they said, no, actually, what you saw wasn't a UFO, but instead it was an owl sitting on a treetop, or it was just mass hallucination, or better yet, it was Venus. And so Project Blue Book was all about, and Harry Truman created that along with the CIA as well. And during the same time frame, the Air Force was created. Who here likes planes? Who here likes planes? Who here wants to fly a plane when they get older? Raise your hand. Because me too. I also want to fly a plane. That sounds like so much fun. So this guy did all that stuff, but he didn't have, that we know of, any UFO sightings. But then if we move on over to our next president, Eisenhower. Now, this guy is a big deal. He was president between 1953 and 1961. He became president right after Truman. And before he was even president, he was actually in the military. So he had a lot of background information about how to handle things like war and conflict, and who knows, maybe even UFOs. But his time as president was one of the most profound in US history when it comes to UFOs. Allegedly, and this story is crazy. Allegedly, he had a meeting with aliens. Now we all gasp together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That's right. Pretty freaky stuff. So as the story goes, we don't have any proof behind this. That's why we use the word allegedly. But as the story goes, he was on a plane. And when he was flying to an air base, an Air Force base, right, run by the military, there was a UFO right on top of the airplane and one right behind the airplane, according to one of the crew members on the plane with Eisenhower. Then, as the plane lands, Eisenhower walks outside of the airplane into a UFO and has a meeting for 45 minutes. Now, you guys do it? Crazy, right? And there's this whole documentary that was created by a director by the name of Robert Emenegger, who wrote or created a documentary called Past, Present, and Future. And this director, gave a lot of interviews when this movie came out in the 1970s, stating that he was given permission from people in the Pentagon, which is in Washington, D.C., that he was promised by people in the Air Force, people in the Pentagon, I will give you the actual footage, the legitimate footage of UFOs landing at the Holloman Air Force Base, and you can use it for your documentary. But then, all of a sudden, the Pentagon says, oh, just kidding. You cannot use the actual videos. Instead, you gotta create drawings. Boo. Terrible stuff. Well, Emenegger gave interviews. He was telling the story, and he says that what Eisenhower encountered and other people in the Holloman Air Force Base encountered, these beings called hooked nose grays. So they were tall gray beings, but they had these hooked nose, kind of like a bird. And they had this meeting with Eisenhower and a few others. But this treaty called the Eisenhower Treaty, also known as the Grenada Treaty, was, hey, allegedly, right? Eisenhower said, I will trade you people in return for very advanced technology. So during Eisenhower's presidency, between the 50s, 60s, up until about the 70s, there's this huge survey and reports of a lot of UFO abductions. What? And cattle mutilations. Now, that part's pretty scary. We're not going to get too deep into that. But that's the craziest thing about Eisenhower and this treaty between the hook-nosed grays and the United States. What? All right. Getting on to our next president, JFK, better known as John F. Kennedy. Now he's famous right now. Everyone's talking about him. You guys know who he is, right? Yeah, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Really high. You should know him. Wave it like you just don't care. Woo! Okay. So this guy, President John F. Kennedy, he had shown a really big interest in UFOs. And there were these rumors, that's what they really were. He said, hey, when I become president and I get my foot in the door, I'm going to release the UFO files. And ever since then, from Kennedy to Nixon, all the way to President Trump, the president that we have today, have all kind of said something very similar. When I become president, I will release UFO files. And yet, even though he was President Kennedy from 1961 to 1963, how many years ago was that? Give me an estimate. Say it out loud. Take a guess. Yeah, okay, a long time. All right, we'll just say it like that, a long time. No president in the United States has ever released any good UFO files. Even though starting from Kennedy, even a little bit before then, they said, I promise I will release files, but they never did. Boo. All right, but now it gets really, really cool. I skipped Nixon because he had some cool stuff about UFOs, but nothing too crazy. But then Jimmy Carter, he had a UFO sighting. And I have a mini video, only about 60 seconds, that I did a while ago that we're going to watch about his UFO sighting. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Did you hear the news that President Jimmy Carter passed away at 100 years old? No, and I don't care. Well, did you know that he was interested in UFOs and had his own sighting? Now I'm invested. Back in 1969, while serving as governor of Georgia, Jimmy Carter and 25 others witnessed a strange luminous object in the western sky that approached their area. It stopped above the pine trees and then changed colors from red to blue to white before vanishing. America! Don't get distracted. According to Carter's account on The Larry King Show, the sighting occurred at dusk outside a school lunchroom, leaving the entire group awestruck by the unexplained phenomena. Well, did he try to release UFO information as the president? You didn't let me finish. As president, Carter attempted to investigate UFOs and release information to the public, but faced resistance from both NASA and the CIA director George W. Bush, suggesting possible limitations to presidential access to UFO data. Typical. Alrighty. What did we learn from that very short video? Think about it. I'll give you a second. All right, I'm going to tell you the answer. Just because a president becomes a president doesn't always mean they get full access to all files, but very specifically about UFO files. While we might think, you and I, okay, they should know everything, the US president, because, well, they are the president, right? Not entirely. During elections, when people are voting for a certain candidate to become president, especially in 2016, very specifically, a lot of candidates said, when I become president, I will release UFO files. Here I'm referring to Bernie Sanders and to Hillary Clinton, along with Trump as well. And that was kind of their narrative. When I become president, I will release files. But from what we've learned from Jimmy Carter, from that very short video, even though he was president between 1977 and 1981, he wasn't able to release UFO files. Does anyone have an idea of why, a theory or a hypothesis as to why a president might not have access to UFO files? Anyone? Okay, I'm actually going to ask this question to someone. I want someone to give me the answer. Let me take this down. Okay, let's see. Mr. Haynes, can you point out a student for me and have them answer my question?
Max, you step up close to the camera and you get right close-up shot right up there, Max, so she can see it.
All right, what do you think? The answer.
Go ahead, Max, you got it.
Because they don't want classified information.
That's a possible one. Oh, get that. It will take one more.
Natalie.
Top secret.
That's a really good answer. Because it's top secret. Just because a president becomes a president doesn't mean they get full access to files across different platforms. And a big reason is one, because it is top secret, but two, is because they're only in office for 4 or 8 years, and that's it. But there are people in the government that are in their position for a lifetime, which they're in the category of need to know when it comes to classified files. The president isn't always in the need to know when it comes to certain files, such as UFOs. But if we look at a few other presidents, before we move on to drones, before I get to ask your questions, there are a few that have really tried to get information, such as Ronald Reagan and even Bill Clinton, which we'll get into in just a moment, and were denied access. However, if we look at Ronald Reagan just for a moment, he has hinted in the past when he was president between 1961, 1981 through 1989 that movies like E.T. Has anyone seen the movie E.T. by Spielberg? Raise your hand. Yeah. Well, this is a really crazy story. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. But this one, when the movie was screening at the White House, because even presidents like to watch movies and eat popcorn and drink soda, when that movie was screening in the White House, Reagan gave a very short speech after, especially to Spielberg, stating, "The things that you've seen on screen, I know about." E.T. is real, that little goblin thing with the super long neck? Reagan kind of hinted at it and said, some things in that movie are true. And then he gave a very, very famous speech in 1987 to the United Nations, stating, if an alien threat from outside of this world forward, would it force the world to come together? Because aliens could be a threat to humanity. Now, that was a very, very famous speech in 1987 that a lot of UFO researchers look at, which I call ufologers, UFO researchers. And we've always held on to that since. But I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to keep going before we get to ask your questions. Skip, I'm going to George Bush. Getting on to Clinton, this is crazy. In 1993 to 2001, that was his time during his presidency, he told on a live show, he was like, you know what? I've heard of Area 51, but I wasn't allowed to go there.
Area 51.
Who here has heard of Area 51 before? Raise your hand. I see a few hands that are not up, and that's okay. It's okay. I'll give you just a brief little summary of what Area 51 is. According to a guy by the name of Bob Lazar, he said, I work at Area 51, and that's where they do reverse engineering, where they have reverse engineering programs where if a UFO crashes, people collect that debris and then they try to reconfigure it like an engineer, almost like, for instance, a Rubik's Cube. Does anyone have a Rubik's Cube at home? Raise your hand. Yeah, I find them really hard and I'm not very good at them, but that's besides the point. It's kind of like that. You have a perfect Rubik's Cube, it's all in the right colors. Then you mess it up or your sibling messes it up. Boo. And then you have to try and fix it, get it exactly how it came in the packaging. All the colors are the same. That's very similar with these reverse engineering programs. They get a craft, it's broken, and now they have to try and fix it and get it to work again. Bob Lazar said, well, I worked there, I've seen these craft before, and it all takes place in Nevada at Area 51. So when Bill Clinton heard about this, he says, I want to go to Area 51. I want to see these UFOs and maybe even alien bodies. But when he got there, they even denied the president access. Boo. which goes to show that they don't have the need to know. It's top secret, and just because they're a president doesn't mean they can get all the information. I got one more president for you, and maybe you guys were around when Barack Obama was president, right? Okay. So, so Barack Obama also spoke about UFOs. And when he was on a TV show, like an interview, they asked him, okay, well, aliens, did you get briefed on aliens? Did you get information about UFOs when you were president, Mr. Obama? And his answer was, he joked about it for a second, cracking some joke, which is always, some think it's funny, but it's not for us ufologists. He says, I've seen stuff, I've heard of stuff behind closed doors, and there are just some things that we simply can't explain in some of these UFO videos. And everyone was shocked. That was the first time in a very long time that a US, well, he wasn't a president at that time the interview took place, but he stated something crazy about UFOs. And then ever since then, it's been a little bit more prevalent. People have been asking Joe Biden when he was president about UFOs, and even Donald Trump about UFOs. And it seems to be a constant theme with these presidents today. So who knows? Will we ever get, and I'm going to ask you this question. From the information that you know about UFOs, do you think we will get any kind of disclosure about UFOs from President Trump? Raise your hand. Okay, a few kind of. Do you think we might get disclosure from the next president that shows up? Raise your hand. Kind of, sort of. Well, we don't actually know because from what we've learned so far here today, in just you and I chatting it up, presidents are not always in the need to know. This information is classified as top secret. So, will the president ever release information about UFOs? Raise your hand if you think yes. Okay, put your hands down. Raise your hand if you think no. Raise your hand. A lot of no's. Okay, and that might be the case. It's kind of it's difficult. It's complicated because adults are complicated all the time. Government is super complicated as well. And if only we could have it super simple, but it's not like that. All right. But you know what else is kind of complicated before we get into your questions is the drone incursion in Western Europe. Mr. Haynes told me that you guys watched a video of mine and read the article. Did you think it was complicated? Raise your hand. And it's okay if you think it is, because I think it's complicated. So raise your hand, kind of, sort of. Put your hand down. Raise your hand if you think it was pretty easy to understand. Raise your hand. Oh, I got some smarties in here. Nice stuff. Well, I'll be honest. I think it's kind of complicated because let me explain to you why. And while I do that, I'm going to share some pictures here that have nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I thought that they would just be kind of like fun visuals while we talk about this. Oh, that's me. All right, there we go. Just a few pictures to keep you guys engaged while we talk about this. So, these, before we even call them drones, I need to back up. Who remembers the UFOs being seen in New Jersey last year? Raise your hand. It was pretty crazy. It was all over the news, and it was happening for months on end, taking place in New Jersey, in New York, Pennsylvania, and then in 2019, it even took place in Colorado. Now we're seeing the exact same thing happen on the other side of the world in Europe, such as Denmark, Germany, Estonia, and a few other places. Now, we don't actually have a lot of information about these sightings taking place, even though at this rate, probably thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people have seen these strange things in the sky. And there have been some very specific replies by the Prime Minister of Denmark and by government officials saying, Hey, not even we know what they are. Now, raise your hand if you think that's scary. Okay, a few of you put your hands down. Who of you think it's kind of cool that they don't know what it is? All right, put your hands down. So it is a little scary. It is a little cool because what if it really is UFOs in the sense of aliens from outside of our planet? That would be so cool. But then you would ask yourself, okay, if we're seeing all these craft in the sky, why don't they want to be my friend? Why don't they want to hang out and play Legos with me, right? Or have lunch with me? That's where it gets kind of hard to answer. And so there's a lot of speculation. Who knows what speculation means? Raise your hand. Oh, nice, guys. That's pretty good. Well, there's a lot of speculation, and hopefully you'll understand that word from the context that I'm using. I'll use it one more time. There's a lot of speculation that maybe we're dealing with something that is human, that is artificially made by people, but they have categorized it as a black project. Now, this is where it gets kind of into like the adult category in the sense of gets kind of complicated. But a black project is something that's taking place behind closed doors that nobody knows about except very specific people in the government that are a part of the program. So you and I wouldn't know about it. Hence, that's why it is called a black project because it's in the dark, it's in the shadows. And when we're looking at these, hi there, when we're looking at these UFO sightings, a lot of people will say, oh, they're aliens. But the other half will say, no, it's probably ours. And that's where it gets really murky in this conversation about UFOs or UAP. The term UFO has a lot of stigma behind it, meaning that it has a lot of weight. So when people use the word UFO, you automatically think alien, which isn't always the case. It really just means that it is an unidentified flying object. We haven't defined what it means yet. But the media, when we're looking at these drone incursions in Europe, they were very quick to classify them as a drone or even Russian. Even though we haven't collected any material, we haven't shot down any of these drones, both in the US during the New Jersey drone incident back in 2024 and the ones in Western Europe, none of them have been shot down. Now, why is that? Doesn't that seem like a red flag to you guys? Doesn't that seem weird? Raise your hand if you think it seems weird. It's super weird. And the even weirder part is that adults aren't even questioning it. But kids, on the other hand, like you guys, you're like, wait, hold on. Where's the evidence? What is going on? Why don't I have any answers? Look, you and me are both in the dark on this. And I want to cover some more with you, but I know that you guys probably have some questions about UFOs. So I'm going to just shift gears a little bit. And if you want more information, we can definitely cover that as well. But I'm going to turn this on over to you guys and answer your questions. Hopefully, you thought of a few and we're talking here today. And if you don't, again, it's totally fine. So I'm going to throw the floor over to you. Mr. Haynes, can you please call out any of the students that has a question and would like to ask them?
So fifth graders, no worries. Put your hands down because Thor earlier drew some popsicle sticks and we have an order. So if you go, you can go. And if not, just say pass. Can you hear us okay, Christina?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Do you need people to come closer to the camera? Because that's where the microphone is.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you kids, you're not as loud and annoying as Mr. Haynes, so. Okay, let's keep it up, voice check 0. Keep it up, voice check 0. We don't know how much time Miss Gomez has. Okay, so Andrew, do you want to ask a question? You want to ask a question? Okay, so walk up to the camera, closer, and it's okay, you can do extreme close-up. Extreme close-up. There we go. Okay.
Nice. I get to see up your nose.
Okay, Andrew, go for it, buddy.
I wonder what an alien looks like when they're driving a UFO.
Okay, I don't think you're talking right into the mic. I only heard half of that. Repeat it one more time to me.
Everybody else has to be dead quiet.
I wonder what an alien looks like when it shows you a UFO.
I want to know what an alien looks like when it's what in a UFO? I'm so sorry. One more time.
UFO. Driving.
Mr. Haynes, please translate that to me.
What does an alien look like when it's driving in a UFO?
Aha. Thank you. I was like, I'm missing that one special word. Okay. That's a good question. I'm going to actually throw this back to you. Act out what you think a UFO looks like when it's flying a UFO. How does it look? Is it like this? Is it like this? Is it doing it like this with its mind? How does it look like to you? Ooh, driving it. It has a wheel. Oh, like this. Oh, nice one. Gangnam Style. Oh, yeah. Classic stuff.
Flat tire?
So I will tell you a very quick story of an alleged crash retrieval. What does alleged mean again? Raise your hand if you remember what it means. I know it's a definition, so raise your hand, kind of, sort of. Okay, hopefully by the context you'll know, but I'll repeat what it means. Allegedly means something that took place, but there's no proof that it happened. So allegedly, there's this story of a crash retrieval. So this UFO crashed. People went to go look inside, and there were these chairs that had this very strange indentation where the skull is supposed to be, and a few little wires poking out. So the idea by these people, I believe it was the Aztec UFO sighting in New Mexico, that some of these UFOs are controlled using the mind. What? Yeah. Yeah, no way. Yeah, crazy stuff. Now, some of them could also be flown with a little passenger inside, driving it around like a car or like an airplane. But it seems that some of these craft, from the stories that we have so far, they are controlled through consciousness. All right, next question. Let's hear it.
Real loud, real quick.
Have you ever gone to Area 51?
I have not gone to Area 51 because it is completely secure. There's a lot of security guards, there's a lot of fences, and even though we have an idea, actually, we do know where Area 51 is, like it's public information. There's miles and miles and miles between the fence line where people can drive up to and where the actual base is, where these programs are taking place. But now that Area 51 has been made public because of Bob Lazar, it's believed, allegedly, right? We're going to keep using that word over and over again, that all of that material, the crash retrieval, possibly the alien bodies, and who knows what else, has been moved to another undisclosed location. Next question.
Next. Really loud, your presentation was. So step up there, Vicky and Natalie, you're done.
What do you think aliens look like?
What do aliens look like? Is that the question that you asked?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There are a lot of stories because that's all that we really have. But I know that you guys watched a little clip from James Fox's The Phenomenon. James Fox is an incredible researcher and documentary filmmaker. He has spoken to people, especially military officials, that have seen aliens. But there are a few different races that people have mentioned. There's about, I think, 7 or 14. So you have, like in the movies, the typical gray aliens, the super big eyes that kind of look like insectoid eyes. You have ones called the Nordics, which are very tall, blonde beings, blue eyes. They're called Nordics because they look like people in Scandinavia, in Europe, kind of like Vikings, right? But they're much, much taller. So a lot of stories of those beings. But the really scary ones are the ones that look like praying mantises, but they're like 6 feet tall and they have fingers. Who here has seen a praying mantis before? Raise your hand. Hopefully all of you guys go out inside and you play a little bit, go play in the mud sometimes. Probably seen a praying mantis. Now, praying mantises are really, really scary, not just because of how they look, but because they eat lizards and snakes alive. Oh, ew. Well, these praying mantis beings from the stories that we have, they're very tall, very scary, very insectoid, hard exoskeletons, which all bugs, most bugs have, right? Where they have a really hard skin. And fingers, which is also kind of scary. Can you imagine a bug with fingers? I would pass out and cry. I'd be so terrified. But these mantis beings, from the stories that we have, they're very nice. They're very chill, very okay. But a lot of the times, people that have alien encounters, not just UFO sightings of objects in the sky, but actual alien encounters, their memories are wiped. They have to go through regression hypnosis, meaning that someone has to almost be like their therapist and enter their mind to pull out these memories of what they encountered with these aliens. And very specifically with the praying mantis beings, the memories are so heavily wiped because people would be so scared to see a 6 foot praying mantis. I mean, wouldn't you be scared? I'd be pretty scared. Yeah. Pretty freaky stuff. Unless you really like bugs, then you know what? Good for you. Then imagine a 6 foot spider. Mm, ew, right? Ew, gross. So there are a lot of different aliens and what they look like from the stories that we have, but the main ones are ones that look humanoid, ones that look like us. You have the gray beings, the gray aliens, and then you have insectoid that look like insects type of beings, just to name a few. But there's a handful of other ones. Actually, there's one more. Arcturian, they're blue and they're bold and they're super smart and they can talk to you telepathically, meaning they can talk to you from mind to mind. Cool stuff. All right, next question.
Yeah. Everybody's saying something.
Okay, does aliens have spiky skin?
Do aliens have what? I missed it.
Skin.
Say pink, really loud.
Pink.
Do aliens have pink skin? Is that what you said? Oh, okay. I haven't come across any stories of that, but you know what? The universe is so, so vast. Right now, we have collected information from over 5,000 exoplanets. An exoplanet is a planet outside of our solar system. So we have documented 5,000 so far, but we know that the universe is ever expanding and that there's millions and millions and billions and trillions of planets. And then there's even billions of different galaxies, which has billions and trillions of more planets. So the answer, while I don't have one, should probably be yes. And you know what? It'd be kind of cool to have pink skin, maybe even some blue skin. Who knows? You know what? Rainbow skin, right? Wouldn't that be so cool? I think so. I think it'd be pretty cool. Next question.
Go ahead. You got it.
Dragon.
So you can see us, right? Be cool. Get in front of the camera, look. Nice and loud.
Are you fascinated by space?
You're not even.
Oh, 100%.
Press.
But I got to throw this question back to you. Who here is fascinated with space? Raise your hand.
Me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's so cool because the opportunities are so vast. Anything can happen. Anything that you can imagine with your imagination on what aliens look like or alien planets look like probably take place somewhere in the universe. So I wish I was your age so that when I became my age, I could be an astronaut and explore the our solar system and even past our solar system. And I got asked this question to you. Who here wants to be an astronaut? Raise your hand. Who here wants to study space when they get older, at the very least? Like different planets, like astrobiology, meaning the study of biology outside of our planet. Who knows, there could be other oceans with dolphins and whales on other moons or planets in our solar system alone. NASA is doing really interesting work right now with sending probes over to different moons on Jupiter and Saturn. Of course, on Mars, we know about all the Mars rovers, right? Like the Perseverance rover and a few others. But NASA's always working on sending different probes very specifically through our solar system and getting information as to what other life can take place. Because planet Earth is not the only place, obviously, that holds life. Even in our own solar system. So it'd be so cool to research all that kind of stuff, to be an astronaut, and to see with my own eyeballs, but I'm a little too old for that now, and I don't have the credentials to do it. But you know what? Maybe you do. Maybe you're super smart and you know engineering and math and all the other stuff that needs to be done to be an astronaut. You could do it. Just don't forget me, okay? Give me an autograph in a few years. I'd love to meet an astronaut. Next question.
I'm going to situate you so you can get a good shot of you. This is coming up. All right, how about right there? Right. Right there.
Biggest guy broke it.
Bro, guys.
Okay.
Get the shot of the aliens or AI?
What was the first part? Aliens or AI? What?
What's better, aliens or AI?
Ooh. What if they merged aliens with AI? They would be unstoppable. That'd be pretty cool. There are ideas. There's a lot of stories that some of these beings that are here visiting Earth or interacting with people, that there is this connection with AI and these beings. And it seems that humans are heading in that direction with the very quick evolution of AI that we are seeing being incorporated in nearly everything that we do now. What if we merge ourselves with AI? Would that, in a sense, make us alien because we're no longer fully human? Would that make us unstoppable? Could we travel the stars better or worse? These are philosophical questions that some of the best adult minds are trying to understand right now. And we don't have any answers yet. Maybe you can create an answer, and I'd like to hear those sometime very, very soon in the near future. But as to which one is better, the best option is them merging into one. What's the next question? And how much time do we have left, Mr. Haynes?
We have 17 minutes.
Nice. Are you guys having a good time? Everything okay over here? Raise your hand. Look at watching a football game over there. Guys are really enjoying it. What's the next question?
If aliens are real and we ever get to see them, what would our first thing to do?
That's a really, really good question. So, if aliens are real, okay, I think how we handle things differs from person to person, but if we look at governments across the world, they have a very similar mindset, and that is to shoot first and ask questions later. While there are a lot of people that have told stories of their interactions with aliens over the centuries, not just the last few years, but if we look at very ancient stories, especially from Native Americans here in the United States, they have shared stories with beings that they call the star people. Same with the ant people, but they have stories of portals opening and closing, beings coming from the stars and sharing knowledge. And I think in ancient times, they were a lot more open. They saw them more as spiritual beings to guide humans into the right direction. But now, in today's world, we have a bit more adults, not kids, adults, which kind of make up all the rules. They have a lot more fear and things that they do not understand. Now, as for you guys are smart, you guys are cool, you guys are so curious that things don't scare you very easily. If anything, if many of you were to see an alien, you'd be like, hey, come play with me, come hang out, let's have a good time. Adults, on the other hand, they have very different mental filters. They say, okay, are these guys a threat? What can I take from them? And how can this benefit me and nobody else? So adults are boring, okay? No one likes them. Kids, they're the coolest. So if we were to have an alien race, a whole civilization come on down to planet Earth, I don't necessarily think it's going to be like this super exciting party. Maybe a little bit later on, but it's going to be a lot of fear because people don't know what's happening. Adults in particular don't know what's going on. And that's what make people very dangerous is when they are scared versus, hey, yeah, everything is okay. Let's have a good time. Let's have a party and have some cake, which cake is delicious, right? Who likes cake? Yeah,
Yay!
you know what? I think even aliens like cake too, some good sugar. That's how you make friends, is by sharing some treats with people that you care about and possibly with aliens as well. So, overall, to answer your question, how do you think it would go? I think there would be some positive encounters, but there's also going to be a lot of negative encounters as well. So, all we can do, if this were to ever happen, if we were to get some kind of public communication, you have to control your own experience, your own mindset, and say, hey, everything is going to be okay. That's the best mindset to have. Let's say it all together. Everything is going to be okay. Let's hear it.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Everything's going to be okay. Next question.
What got you interested in UFOs and aliens in general?
That is a really cool question. So, like I know earlier I asked you guys, do you talk about UFOs with your parents?
Yeah.
I did as well when I was a kid. My parents, they're a little crazy, they're a little weird. And when I was your age, I would talk about aliens all the time. And my parents would share stories with me of their UFO sightings when they were kids, up until they were adults. And so I've always had an interest in it. I've always liked it, especially all the great movies like Independence Day, which I heard some of you guys say that you really liked that movie. Invader Zim, if you haven't seen it, it's such a fun cartoon. Totally recommend. And we live in a different world now to where it is so easy for you and I to talk about UFOs. 20, 30 years ago, people wouldn't even open their mouth about this topic publicly. So we're very, very lucky to talk about this. I'm so grateful that your teacher invited me here today to talk to you guys about UFOs and aliens because this would have never happened when your parents were kids. What's the next question?
Then make sure get front and center.
What do you think the aliens are trying to tell us?
Ooh, that's a good question. There have been a lot of cases of UFOs and aliens being seen by students in schools. I don't know if Mr. Haynes has talked to you guys about that this semester, but I know with his last year students, he definitely did. But as I had mentioned a little bit earlier about adults and kids, kids are a lot more receptive to what's going on in the world without having too many filters. That's what makes you guys so, so special compared to adults. And so these UFO sightings, like the UFO sighting at the Ariel School and a few others in Wales, right? The Broadhaven UFO sighting. These students see something very strange in the sky. Sometimes a UFO even lands, an alien comes out, and he tells the students telepathically, meaning from brain to brain, hey, you need to take care of your planet. You need to be nice to one another. And at the end of the day, everything is going to be okay if you follow our advice of taking care of everything. And I think it really demonstrates that, and we take it for granted, but planet Earth is a beautiful planet. You have incredible water, great vegetation, because a lot of planets that scientists and astronomers know of so far that are in the habitable zone, meaning that they're just in the right place, close enough to the sun to create vegetation, but far enough to not burn and turn to fire. It's called the Goldilocks zone. A lot of these planets are what they're classified as tidally locked. So planet Earth, it rotates. That's why we have 4 seasons, right? Summer, winter, spring, and fall. A lot of planets that astronomers have seen so far, they are tidally locked. That means one side is always facing the sun and it doesn't rotate. The other side's always facing darkness, meaning it's super, super icy. And you have this little band right in the middle of the planet that is like that perfect temperature, not too hot, not too cold, called the Terminator zone. So our planet is stunning. And I know there are some beautiful places across Arizona. You got the desert, you got the mountains, you get snow and rain, you have it all. A lot of planets don't have what we have. So it's very important to take care of it, to be mindful. And a lot of these aliens that talk to students from time to time over the decades, they say, hey, just just take care of it, treat it as your own. So that's one really big message that has been taught for quite a few decades when it comes to kids. Now, for adults, they don't take the messages as well because they think, oh, I know it all. I'm an adult and I know everything. Adults do not know everything. That's why it's always important to ask questions. Always ask your parents questions, Mr. Haynes questions, and they're going to answer it to the best of their ability, but not even they know everything. Now, Mr. Haynes is very smart, okay? Don't think otherwise. He's very, very smart. But just because you're smart doesn't mean that you know everything. Right, guys? Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right. What's my next question?
Put it down. Put it down.
If you ever saw an alien, which one do you think it would be?
If I could see an alien, which one would it be? Oh man, I'd really like to meet a Nordic. They seem very cool. They look humanoid, so it's not so scary. And they seem from the stories that we have, they seem pretty okay. There's this case in England by the name of Jessie Rostenberg. She saw these beings in a UFO and she said they were the most beautiful beings she's ever seen. All right, guys. No way. I know we have a few minutes left, but you know what? We've been sitting down for quite some time. Everyone get up for me just for a minute. We're going to get out those wiggles. You got to show me your signature dance move again. What is it? Go ahead and show it off. Oh, nice, guys. All right. Now we got to do the okay. All right, everyone relax. Take a deep breath. One more. Okay, but you know what? We're all moving our bodies. But what about our fingers? Gotta do the finger dance like this. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. All right, everyone sit down. We got our wiggles out. All righty. What's our next question, Mr. Haynes?
I know we have recess in 7 minutes, but if Miss Gomez has to go, she has to go. But if she can stay, I can keep you guys out a little past recess for this special occasion. So we're on your pocket, sir. And up next, we have the humor run. Okay, so get in front of the camera.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay. Ramon wrote his question down. He'll be right back.
Alrighty, sounds good.
All right, Ramon, go ahead. Make sure you get in front of the camera so that you can see. Norm, sit down.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question. Okay, so my question is, there are a lot of crop circles and fields all over the U.S. So how is that made? Do people just make them by lawnmowers, or how are they made?
Yeah, so there's actually, okay, that's a really, really good question. So there have been a lot of crop circles made by people that we know of, and they call it art. But I don't know, if I was a farmer, I'd be pretty upset. I grew my crops really, really hard, and now they're all smashed to the ground. Sad face. Boo. Boo. So a lot of crop circles were very, very popular to create by people in the 80s and 90s. And they were called like crop colts. But how they would make them is that they would get a piece of wood, a long piece of wood, tie some rope to it, and they would press their foot on the wood and create symbols in fields. That's why they're called crop circles, because they're in crops, right? And they would draw it out right before they would go to the field and create them. And they said it was pretty easy to do, like it wasn't very difficult. But there are some crop circles that people don't know who made them. And there were certain researchers, very specifically one UFO researcher by the name of Linda Moulton Howe, who is still with us. She's still doing her UFO research. And she would go there with very specific equipment that would read things like the magnetism in the area, radiation in the area. And some of these UFO crop circles, excuse me, they would have these very weird readings on her machines, like the Geiger counter. And there was no explanation because the ones created by people didn't create those same results, those same responses. And now there are a lot of books, a lot of like picture books, like literally photographic books of artists that would go and they would create crop circles and farms and take pictures of it using a drone. And what's really, really smart is that these farmers, they lost a lot of money because a lot of their crops were ruined, excuse me. So instead, they would charge the public, hey, it's going to be $5 for you to come to my farm and see the crop circle. How smart is that? That is a businessman mindset, 100%. They lost money, so now they're going to charge people to go and look at these crop circles. So a lot of them were made by people, but there are some in the US and even in the UK. So we're looking at like England, Wales, parts of Ireland that would also collect pictures of crop circles, and a lot of them were created by people. So pretty cool stuff. What's the next question?
She had to go up there.
Okay, so with the AI nowadays, do you believe any of the videos that you see?
You know, it's so tough. A lot of the videos that are being spread around about UFOs, it's so difficult to decipher if it's real or not. You definitely have to be skeptical, but I'll tell you a really good way to tell. So, I was able to speak to some really, really smart engineers, and they told me a good way to tell if a video is fake or if it's real is to first see the angle of the UFO sighting. So if you're taking a video and your camera is going up and you see a very clear UFO, it's fake. And I'll explain to you why in just a minute. But if you are, let's say, on an airplane and you see a UFO and you film downwards, and if it's clear or like decently clear, higher chances are it's going to be real. Now, how do we know that? Well, according to these two very smart PhD engineers, they told me that the majority of these UFOs have a very unique propulsion system that distorts when it flies over certain areas, it slightly distorts what's below it because of this very unique energy signature. And so if you're looking right below it and you're using your camera, it shouldn't be clear because of the technology involved. But on top, there's no type of energy that is helping it move from the top of the UFO. So the video should be a little bit more clear. But if we're looking at really any kind of clear footage, it's usually fake. But then, the footage that we get, it's always so blurry and boring and looks like a flying potato. You could easily fake it, right? So you have to use your own discernment. So you have to look at it with your own eyes and say, okay, do I believe it? Do I not believe it? And then at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide if you think it is real or not, because we're hitting that era where with the technology that we have, the AI, the CGI, it's only going to get much more difficult to decipher what is real and what isn't. So we're all in the same boat. It's not going to get any easier. I'm sorry. What's my next question?
Okay, guys. The bell's gonna ring, but then I'll give you one time. Okay, stay put. Go ahead.
What is the most interesting alien story you have heard?
My favorite case, and I'll take one more question after this one, Mr. Haynes. My favorite case of all time is called the Colares Brazil incident from 1977. Has anyone heard of this case before? Raise your hand. It's okay if you haven't. Oh, recess. He's going to go to recess.
No, you stay put.
Why?
Stay put.
All right, I will make this very quick. Okay, this case is really really big because it took place in Brazil. And there are reports, there are witness testimony, there are drawings, there are videos, there are pictures of UFOs being seen for 6 months in this very small town in Brazil. And these people were so, so scared because it would shoot this beam of light on these, like this really small fishing town on these people. And then they would have these puncture wounds on them. They would actually get injured by these UFOs. It got so big and so scary that this mayor called the capital of Brazil, which is Brasilia, and said, "Hey, bring your best men, bring your military, bring all of your weapons, and protect my people." But instead of this military group bringing in all of their artillery, they instead brought telescopes, paper, and pencils because they wanted to document the phenomenon instead of actually helping the people protect them from these strange craft in the sky. And then after 6 months, it all stopped, but we have all of the documentation. Compared to so many other UFO sightings, this one has a lot of data behind it. Okay. I know we're really, really running late, but I'll answer one more question if you guys have one. That's it.
Can I squeeze in? All right, Christina, everybody got a chance to go. I was hoping to get mine in, if that's okay.
Okay. Let's hear it.
The Skywatcher results from part 2 video with the 9 classifications of UAP. And then I know you talked about Beatrice VRL, I think, with the plates. Do you think that's scientific evidence or getting close to scientific evidence? And maybe you could give a quick explanation or two.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, because that's an opinionated question and answer. In my opinion, I think it is scientific evidence. So what we know from Via Rail, and for those that I can actually pull the picture, I'll make this very very quick. Beatrice Via Rail, she is an absolutely just spectacular scientist and researcher. Let me just pull it up. I know now, and I feel like I'm rushing. It's okay. I can do this. Alrighty, give me a second. So this lady, she found something. That's a blurry picture, but that's okay. I can't do two things at once. Okay, here it is. All right. So this lady right here, she did an investigation with her team actually about looking at UFOs from these very, very old plates that scanned the skies during the time of Blue Book. and she realized that there were some gaps where stars were supposed to be that weren't there. And what she found is that there was this little blimp of these stars that were missing in space based off of her research. And she also mentioned that this was taking place during the same time that there were a lot of UFO sightings, such as the 1952 Washington, D.C. sighting, which is a really, really, really big deal. And she found from her research, looking at these very old scans from the 1950s and 60s, that there's this connection between UFO sightings and nuclear testing. So anytime that nukes were being used or tested on, there's been a higher percentage of UFO sightings. Now, does anyone raise your hand if you have an idea as to why that might be? Between the connection between UFOs and nuclear weapons. It's okay if you don't. It's totally okay. It's not an easy question. I'll answer it for you. It's because nuclear weapons are so detrimental to not only humanity but the planet Earth. And it's actually going to build off of one of the questions that you asked. One of the cute little students down there, is there a message that these aliens are giving people? And I said it's to protect the planet Earth. Nuclear weapons are very, very dangerous, and they will wipe out everything. So many countries across the world have way too many nukes. We do not need any of them, but the US has hundreds that they don't need. So does China, so does Russia, so does Iran, and a few other countries. If you just shoot like 2 or 3, the world is done. So she found this, Via Rail found this connection between UFO sightings and nukes, and how there's been a lot more sightings because it seems almost as if they are just trying to observe how humanity is going to handle the situation and if they're actually going to destroy themselves or not. So they're almost acting, in my perspective, my opinion, they're almost acting like babysitters, which I know that you guys don't need babysitters anymore, do you? Raise your hand if you think you do. No, you guys are old enough. You don't need babysitters, right? Adults think the same way. We don't need babysitters. But some of these UFOs, some of these alien sightings kind of feel that way. And hopefully, Mr. Haynes, that slightly answered your question. I know a lot of you guys want to head over to recess and go play with, pretend that you're aliens. So I won't keep you guys for long. Have a really good time. Mr. Haynes, thank you so much for having me. And all of the students, thank you guys as well for listening.
Christina!
You guys, making me blush. Stop. Bye.
Bye.